Welcome to the last show of Taking Care of Business on News Talk 1180 KERN, 1230 KGEO, 1410 KARI, the Christian station, 1000 KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and across this beautiful nation 3 times a week on KNUCmedia.com. Clay, it's been a beautiful almost 4-year run, and most of it we've had our producer Greg Held. I can't think of any of the shows that I didn't really enjoy.
We have had some great shows. We've met some great people. We've had the most interesting show, I think, of any in Kern County. I think
in Southern California, to be honest with you.
It's been great.
It's been a great run. I want to thank Barry Goldwater, Jr. He was on last week. I love the interplay with you and him.
Who?
Yeah.
Barry who?
And then we had a chance to interview a true patriot, Tom Edmonds, from the Beverly Hills Police Department. He was with them almost 40 years. He had some great, fascinating stories.
Oh, Tom's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a little political, though.
Well, aren't most of our guests?
Yeah.
I wanted to finish out the show with 2 of our favorite guests. In the second half, we have Middle East expert Waleed Faris. But right now, we have a friend of the show who I first interviewed about 22 years ago when I was a guest host for Helen Fabian over at KBRT in Costa Mesa. Brian Johnston, the regional director for the National Right to Life. Hey, Brian, welcome back. Are you there?
Pleasure.
Hey, Brian, welcome back.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And it's kind of bittersweet, as I know it is for you guys. But I appreciate the work that you do, the need to get the truth out. Use the airwaves to get out facts that people don't think about that often, but need to think about. And that's really the purpose of radio, is to really inspire thoughts and ideas with our words. And you've been doing a great job, and we're going to miss you.
Hey, thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. So, are we going to see a lot of changes after the midterms in November? Now that the Republicans have both houses, is this going to be helpful for the pro-life movement?
Oh, I think so. But I think what's very important to recognize as we are dealing with this in this realm of ideas, what are laws? Laws are simply ideas that are enforced. And one thing that has not changed, and as we record this now, the Christmas week of 2014, we are seeing an unrelenting attempt by those who influence ideas. That would be the popular media. We just talked about how important the radio is. We are seeing an unrelenting attempt to radicalize and to upset the American people. I hate to say that, but that's what's happening. And what we need to recognize in 2015 is that's not going to stop. And I know that you have many fans that listen to other radio shows. I listen to many radio shows. One is Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh is a great guy. And when he was in Sacramento, I got to know Rush. One of the things he's reminding folks now, and I think we need to realize, is that ideas have consequences, and that one of the goals of those that are out to change America is to undercut your thinking and to dissuade you from the convictions that you hold dear. And that's going to continue in 2015.
Oh, yeah, without a question. Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. I want to ask you a couple specific questions.
Sure.
Okay, now the Republicans have both houses. I think, the feeling I'm getting is that we're going to see more change on the state level than we are on the national level. For example, Ohio has this bill they're trying to pass where it's going to restrict abortions if there's a heartbeat detected. Are we going to see more of those kind of laws from the states as opposed to something nationally?
Oh, definitely. And I think if you look at what's happened in the history of the pro-life movement, that is where change has happened. In fact, if you go back, you know that I'm working on a book on restoring the right to life. The way that we got our laws against abortion was actually the action of, at that time, the American Medical Association, but it was really led by one man, Horatio Storer, went state by state throughout the United States after the Civil War, and he said that the laws that are in effect are not protecting. He was a physician. He was the founder of modern gynecology, and he realized that dealing with childbirth, he had 2 patients, and that the laws were not protecting his second patient. And so he went state by state, and it's very important to realize that. That's how most of the changes in America happen, state by state. By way of example, we're seeing that with the marijuana laws. So this is very common, and we're going to see that in 2015. I wish we had more hope for California, but in California we saw the supermajority taken away in 2014, and so we're not going to win a lot of battles, but there's a glimmer of hope because that supermajority would not even allow discussion of the life issue in California. In other states, as you point out, Marty, that's where change has always happened in America, state by state. So we're seeing the 20-week ban that is on children that can feel pain. We're seeing sex-selective abortions, that was introduced in California last year but quickly shut down. Shannon Grove had authored that. But we're seeing other states, 9 states actually have laws that prohibit killing a baby simply because of that, usually it's a little girl, but because of that baby's gender. Because that's been happening, and that is awakening people, and that's why the state-by-state approach to laws, the way our nation has been set up, is so powerful. Because as people examine and look at the particulars of an issue, they awaken to it. And so that's what we're going to see in 2015 on the federal level. Because the president is still the president is the problem, and he is the most pro-abortion president in history. On the life issue, anything, even with the Senate, anything that comes out of Congress is going to be vetoed by this president. And that's part of the challenge, is that they know that. And he will have bills that he'll have to veto. Many of those bills, though, will be intentionally done so that people can understand how radical this president is.
Exactly.
So you'll see him veto bills that are very reasonable, late-term abortion bills. You may see language like sex-selective abortion, because it isn't just foreign nationals that come here. You know, the Indian culture, East Indian, and the Asian culture, we already know that that's not uncommon to kill little girls. But what's happening in America now, because of our change in values, is the idea of designer babies. And a couple might say, hey, well, you know, we've got one child, we've got a little girl, and now we're pregnant again. But we want to have the perfect family. We want a little boy. And so let's make sure there's the right gender. So it isn't just that we're picking on other cultures. We're picking on, if you will, the devaluing of a human life. That's why this sex-selective abortion language is so important, is it allows the average person to realize, wait a second, you're going to kill a baby just because of its gender? Now, because of who we have in the White House, this president will not oppose that. And that is something that will awaken the minds of Americans if they're paying attention. They will see just how evil abortion is. You are casually throwing out an individual human life. Now, it will not pass on the federal level because the president will veto it. So we should be optimistic about Washington, D.C., and that things have happened. Different states have sent new legislators to Washington, but it's coming from the states, as you point out, Marty. And as individuals locally get involved, and that's the power of America, is that local involvement changes a nation. And that's why, as you pointed out, it's going to be states where they don't have that problem with the chief executive. Where you have a pro-life chief executive, you're going to see more successes. And it's ultimately those types of laws that are going to bring down Roe v. Wade. Well, so I'm excited.
Yeah, we had Mary Lee on, from the Right to Life here in Bakersfield, and she's a sweetheart. Clay and I got to MC their event a couple months ago. But, she was talking about, and when we come back from the break, maybe we can talk about this a little bit, but she was talking about some kind of bill regarding ultrasounds, which I think is a great idea, making ultrasounds mandatory. Now, if you really are pro-choice and you believe in giving an individual the right to make that decision, wouldn't it only be fair to show them the ultrasound so they can really have all the information when they make that decision, so they can see what the baby looks like? I mean, that to me would be the logical conclusion of that position, is that, hey, here it is. Now you can see what the baby looks like. Now you can make an intelligent decision.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's something that I guess is coming down the pike, right, down the road, hopefully.
Yeah, we're seeing those. I'll be honest with you, because of the makeup of our legislature in California, the odds of that passing at this juncture are not high. But as Mary Lee has pointed out, and as it is the purpose of the law is to help inform people, just knowing that that's available helps inform people about the nature of abortion.
Yeah.
And so, we have the language like that. It's going to be introduced, but I don't want people to think that it's going to be passed tomorrow. They need to know that it's really a form of informed consent.
Exactly.
What's this procedure I'm about to go through, what's it going to do?
Exactly.
And it's very important that women have that option.
Yep. We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk 1180.